What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel where we talk about everything Marvel, MCU, and Sony Spider-Verse. And today, we have huge news about Venom 3. And this news is coming directly from Tom Hardy himself. This is actually really big news for Sony Spider-Verse in general because Tom Hardy has teased Spider-Man. This is great news because this is what Tom Hardy has been talking about for over a year now. He's been talking about Venom 3 being a Spider-Man movie, but there are lots of twists that we have to talk about. And it does look like this will be Tom Hardy's last movie as Venom, which is unfortunate because with the exception of Spider-Man No Way Home, in the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy, Venom is the best thing to come from Sony in a long time. I'm going to break it all down in this video. And of course, if you're new, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Venom, Spider-Man, and Marvel news. So first and foremost, let's talk about Venom 3 and how it came about. Tom Hardy shared this picture on his Instagram, and while it may not appear to be much, it actually gives us quite a bit of information here. So, you can still see this picture on his Instagram, that is if it's still there, because Tom Hardy has a history of posting things on his Instagram then deleting them. This has been kind of fun in the past and also kind of pain in the butt because it's led people to Photoshop in photos and putting his Instagram handle at the top, making it appear as if he posted something when he really didn't, resulting to a lot of misinformation out there. But as of right now, as I'm recording this, it's on his Instagram page. At the top, there's a hand-drawn image of Venom, followed by the words, story by Tom Hardy and Kelly Marcel, written by Kelly Marcel. If you liked Venom, Let There Be Carnage, you'll be delighted to know that Tom Hardy and Kelly Marcel wrote it, and they're both returning to create Venom 3. What's especially remarkable about this is that there's a small hand painted in red ink on the little hand-drawn Venom face, which we assume can only mean one thing, Spider-Man. As I previously said, Tom Hardy has been teasing the Venom against Spider-Man for a very long time. Even before Venom, Let There Be Carnage came out, while he was giving interviews for the film, he hinted that the next most likely lost item would be Venom vs. Spider-Man. The Sonyverse for Venom rewrote the whole genesis of Venom, including how the symbiote arrived on Earth, who it initially connected to, and how Eddie Brock bonded with the symbiote. Of course, many people are aware that Peter Parker, also known as Spider-Man, was the first person to whom the symbiote bonded. Peter Parker finally recognized what the symbiote was and that it was harmful, and he exterminated it, after which the Venom symbiote spent the rest of its life hating Peter Parker and attempting to get revenge on him. He despised him for rejecting him, so it's sort of like a love-hate relationship right there. However, since the original release of Venom, we have seen that the first person with whom the symbiote connected was Eddie Brock, and we have not seen Spider-Man since. However, the post-credit scenes for Venom Let There Be Carnage, which was a kick in the teeth, promised that Eddie Brock and Venom will be facing off against the MCU's Tom Holland and Peter Parker. Everyone was delighted because this was what we've been waiting for. But the post-credit scenes for Spider-Man Homecoming dramatically changed that, and that is what we need to discuss because it is so crucial. The Venom symbiote and Tom Hardy Eddie Brock were sent back into the Sony Spider-Verse, but they did leave a small piece of symbiote behind. This tells us that the MCU and the Sony Spider-Verse will remain separate, with the exception of the other Spider-Man appearing in Spider-Man No Way Home. They want to keep the universes separate, so there will be a different Venom in the MCU. Tom Hardy, however, will remain as Eddie Brock and Venom in the Spider-Verse. This means two important things. First, that Tom Holland will no longer be Spider-Man in the Sonyverse, opening the door for a new Spider-Man. Second, that there will be a new Venom in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as he appeared in the post-credit scenes in Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man 3. Everyone thinks that Venom will be the focus of Spider-Man 4, which will star Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Jacob Batalon, a new Venom. And this may be the start of a new cinematic accurate plot in which the Venom symbiote initially links with Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, but he rejects it, and he goes on to locate Eddie Brock. Both Marvel Studios and certain Sony execs have stated that they intend to begin work on Spider-Man 4 as soon as possible, and they've already begun to work on its development. Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal have previously acknowledged this, since they did not want fans to believe that Sony and Marvel were no longer working effectively together. They acknowledge that they are, and that they are already developing the fourth Spider-Man film. Not long ago, several Sony executives stated that they intended to begin work on Spider-Man 4 as soon as possible. So, it's really interesting because it appears that Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland will be a Spider-Man vs. Venom film, but Venom 3 with Tom Hardy appears to be a Venom vs. Spider-Man film as well. But since Spider-Man 4's Venom isn't going to be Tom Hardy, this means that Venom vs. Spider-Man isn't going to be Tom Hardy, which is kind of a bummer because I think many of us had hoped for a showdown between the two characters. However, it appears that this will not be the case. This, however, does leave room for a new Spider-Man in the Sony Spider-Man universe, and since Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire both returned for Spider-Man No Way Home, it could be one of them. I'm going to rule out Tobey Maguire, at least, as the main Spider-Man in that movie, because he has already played Spider-Man in a Venom movie. I don't think they're going to bring him back for another Spider-Man vs. Venom movie, and he looks kind of old now. On the other hand, people loved Andrew Garfield's performance as Spider-Man in No Way Home, and we're very excited to see him again. He did say he's open to returning, and we've heard from some sources that Sony is exploring employing Andrew Garfield for additional films in the Sony universe. So, it may be Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man for Venom vs. Spider-Man. After all, in Spider-Man No Way Home, Tobey Maguire talked about battling Venom and Alien. Tom Holland talked about fighting an alien Thanos, and Andrew Garfield made the comment about wanting to battle an alien. Well, it appears that he will have his chance in Venom 3, and there is always a possibility that Sony may receive new Spider-Man completely at this point in time. This does not strike me as a good idea. Audiences adore Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and the MCU would undoubtedly continue to produce Spider-Man films. And as I previously stated, people love the return of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. So, introducing a brand new Spider-Man may not be the best option. At this point, I believe the best option is to simply go with Andrew Garfield. Tobey Maguire had his Venom movie, and it appears like Tom Holland is set to receive his Venom movie in the MCU. Give Andrew Garfield his Venom movie in Venom 3, where he will face off against Tom Hardy. After all, it's still a Venom film, and Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock should be the major focus. But there should be an iconic Spider-Man in there, not simply a Spider-Man who no one knows and is new to the world. That's what I think they should do, and I'm hoping they do it immediately. According to thedirect.com, Tom Hardy did at one time publish the screenplay on his Instagram story, which has since been removed. But when it was up there, he put a sticker over it that stated, "Final Dance." And if this is true, if that truly what was on Tom Hardy's Instagram story in which they did take a screenshot, which means that if it is not photoshopped, it means that this will be Tom Hardy's final Venom film, which is sad to think about because Venom is the best thing to come from Sony Universe, and I think Tom Hardy is great. But let me know what you think about all of this news in the comment section down below. Let me know who you would like to see in Venom 3 to play Spider-Man vs. Tom Hardy. Leave your views, opinions, and speculations in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and to subscribe to stay up to current on all latest Venom and Spider-Man news. Do well to leave a comment in this comment section below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.